Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. After a prolonged absence to Pod on Lansdowne, I'm Fitz, and for once and maybe the last time ever, I'm not going to be alone here. We got two new pals joining Pod on Lansdowne, the Pod on Lansdowne family. I want to introduce everyone to Liam and Jake. I said off the air, I don't know who I'm going to introduce first. I said Liam first. So, Liam, the floor is yours. Let's just get right into the introductions.
God.
Welcome to the show, Liam. And it could be best for last, Jake.
No, that's fair. So, very happy to be here. As far as, I guess we go back in terms of Red Sox Twitter, it's been a season or two that we've kind of been shooting things back and forth on the old Twitterverse.
Yeah, we've all been kind of riffing for around that time, a couple of years. Yeah. I think I followed Jake back in 18. I think you as well, Liam, 18 or 19.
Yeah, I think it was right around there.
Sounds about right.
But yeah, no, very happy to be here. I think it's definitely something I've wanted to do for a long time. And just between my previous job and, just not having anyone to do it with, that's kind of what kept me back a bit. But excited to be with you two and see what we can do here.
For those who aren't aware, Liam was with the Orioles organization. So my agenda going forward on this show will be using him as a sleeper agent, actually, to who's the general manager for the Orioles? I was going to say it's not Duquette anymore, right? Like Duquette's not there. No, he's long gone. Yeah. In my mind, it's still going to be Duquette. It's going to be forcing the Baltimore Orioles to give us Adley Rutschman and Cedric Mullins and Grayson Rodriguez. Throw in Trey Mancini for Trey Ball. Trey Ball was a first-round draft pick.
Duquette does not get enough credit as a Red Sox GM. Like, he built most of that 04 team.
That's Jake, by the way. So that's leading to Jake. And Jake, I 100%. I 100% co-sign that take. He made some. Yeah. Dude, Duquette traded for Pedro Martinez twice. Yeah. He traded for one of the best pitchers ever. Not once, but twice. That's crazy. But hello, Jake. Welcome to the show. I almost said Liam again.
Hello. I'm Jake, and kind of same thing. I wanted to do something like this for a while, and then Fitz approached us. I don't even know. When was, maybe 2 months ago now?
A couple months ago, yeah. I think it was before the turn of the new year.
Yeah, and I was all in, and here we are. So I'm excited. I think we've got something special brewing here.
Jake's girlfriend disagrees.
Have a great logo.
Yes. Shout out to Jake's girlfriend for that. But Jake's girlfriend also doesn't like the idea of the podcast in general. So we've already got our first beef as a trio here. So we're figuring it out as we go. But we're already kind of ahead of the eight ball. If you're a sports podcast and you're not beefing with one person or one group of people, then you're clearly doing it wrong. So we're on the right side of history there. So, but yeah,
one hater.
What's that?
Number one hater.
Absolutely. Yeah. We need that. Haters make us famous. Haters motivate us. But no, yeah, a couple months ago, like Jake had mentioned, I figured I liked doing the podcast alone here. I like just kind of randomly rambling to myself about this stupid team and this stupid sport and the stupid interests of ours that we all tweet about. We already, again, shoot the shit enough about it already during the season and during the off season all the time about the Red Sox and baseball. Figured bring these guys on there. I like riffing more than I like talking to myself in circles, and I'm happy to have them on to Pod on Lansdowne going forward. Pod on Lansdowne, of course, is a Red Sox show. If you're just now joining, this is like the 40-something episode that we've done this. So if you don't realize by now or by the logo that it's a Red Sox show, if you don't want it to be a Red Sox show, you're on the wrong freaking place.
Spoiler alert.
Exactly. Spoiler alert. So we have social medias now. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at Pod on Lansdowne, Instagram at Pod on Lansdowne. TikTok doesn't exist because, I'm not going to make the TikTok because I have held strong about not joining TikTok yet. I'm not doing it.
That is crazy.
Not doing
it. That's unbelievable.
After Twitter, that's where I spend
most
of my screen time.
My brain is already poisoned enough, turned into soup already enough by Twitter. Yeah. And my take is that the best TikToks are just going to make their way onto Twitter anyways.
That's a fair point. in terms of like Twitter and Instagram, they all steal things from TikTok now.
There's some really funny TikToks. There's some incredible TikToks. But maybe we get on there. I may task you to want to do it. But I'm a man of principle. I'm not joining TikTok. But Instagram and Twitter, you can definitely find us there at Pod on Lansdowne. Wanted to start today, gentlemen, kind of doing a brief 2021 in review, in memoriam session for our beloved 2021 Red Sox. The season that I think it's fair to say we're not kidding ourselves by saying, we had high expectations for the 2021 Sox, especially after the dumpster fire that was 2020, the underwhelming 2019, the whole offseason drama leading into 2020. It was just a mess all around. Ended up being honestly one of the most fun Red Sox seasons I've experienced in a while. Championships.
I think it was the best. Far and away the best non-championship season.
Easily. I think the only one that you could maybe compare it to is 08. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was an absolute blast. Obviously came up short, losing in 6 games to the Houston Astros. I guess we can kind of start with that. It was a really fun run, that playoff run, knocking off the Yankees in the wild card game, knocking out Kermit Cole early in the game, beating the Rays, who were the best team in the American League in 2021, beating them in 4 games. And then totally forgetting what happened after Xander Bogaerts' home run at Fenway in the bottom of the first inning in Game 4. Nothing else happened after that.
Beats me. Lockout started immediately after that, as far as I'm concerned. So
you could tell me that we scored 15 runs on Zach Greinke, which is what I thought was going to happen leading into that game. 15 runs were scored.
They had him on the ropes.
He couldn't throw a strike. He was shaking up there. He was a disaster.
What do you go? An inning and a third? I'm gonna look this up real quick.
I'll talk a little bit about the 2021 team.
Absolutely, the floor is yours here.
So 2020 for me, if this, we're being honest here, I barely watched the 2020 team. I was so not even upset about the Mookie stuff, but just like disillusioned almost. And I was just like, I don't care. And then on top of that, they just were awful. It was just an awful product. And it was like a fake season. It was 60 games. I was like, who cares? So
you're pro Mickey Mouse championship discourse about the.
Absolutely. I think of all the sports, football was a full season, but the other 3 all kind of were cut short and whatever. The Dodgers championship is far and away the most Mickey Mouse of those 3. I don't think there's even because at least the Lakers and the Lightning, they played regular playoffs and they won their 6, but it was they played 70 games or whatever, 65 games.
The NHL playoffs was a mess. I had no idea what was going on with the NHL playoffs that year.
But at least the Dodgers played 60 games and then had a weird makeshift playoff. Fuck, whatever. That's fake.
Just stops right in his track. He's going to get himself mad if he talks about it. But leading into 2021, again, with the expectations so low after just an abysmal offseason and just a 60-game stretch that really felt like a 260-game stretch. I watched just about all of it for whatever goddamn reason. I must hate myself and subject myself to that horrible product like you had mentioned. But Liam, again, I don't think there were any expectations going into 2021. And I think, not to sound corny, at the risk of sounding really cheesy, but the team really seemed to recapture the spirit of the city, the interest of the city after a couple rotten years.
Yeah, no, for sure. Going back to 2020, it feels like a fever dream at this point. It was just horrible pitching. I think the only game I legitimately remember was opening day, because Eovaldi pitched really well and they put up 11 runs on the Orioles. I will tell you guys, Greinke in Game 5, an inning and a third, 3 walks. The only hit was Xander's home run. He threw 37 pitches and only 18 strikes, and that was it. That was the game.
And they won that game.
The
Game 4?
The Astros.
I was going to say, the Astros won that game. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Am I mixing up my games here? No. It's a shame that the Astros won that game. Well, again, we actually don't know if the Astros won that game because nothing else happened after that home run. So
Very fair. Very fair.
my mistake.
But no, 2021, I gotta say, I mean, outside of 08, like we already mentioned, most fun I've had following a team. I mean, probably 2013 is like the pinnacle for me, at least, just because by then, I mean, 04, I was 9 years old. It's not like I was literally watching the team every night. But going back to like 2013, when you're watching them every night and you watch them like those October nights, it was a whole other animal. And I don't think, I mean, they're gonna, at the expense of sounding cheesy, they're gonna be like our 1967 Sox. I think when we look back, like decades from now, be like, you know, after the stuff, after the COVID season, just kind of really, I don't know, man. Fenway was something different.
That might be
in October.
If I could, a little bit about myself. I transferred to BU fall of 2019. That was my first semester there. And I remember like telling my friends and my family and whatever that all I wanted in my 2 years there, that's become 3 years, but my 2 years there was like one, like if I could just get like meaningful September games and then like some October, that's good. 2019, they were whatever. Like I went to the games in September, but it was like such a meddling season. And
that last game was elite. Game
162
was incredible. That was there that Sunday afternoon.
And then 2020, you know, and then when it rolled around and it was like the off season before the 2021 season, I was thinking that same thing to myself, and I was like I'm gonna strike out here. Like I really don't. I mean, before the 2021 season, I was higher on them than most, I think. But I was not like 2 games away from the World Series high.
Yeah, I
don't think anybody was.
I try to be optimistic myself, but I think my pie in the sky, all blue skies, best case scenario was like 85 wins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe
and then
wild card chase September.
Yeah.
Great.
So the season starts rolling, whatever, and you know, they're good. And and it was, and then we got to I went to probably, I don't know, like 80% of the home games in September with those student nines. We love them.
Elite.
And then the wild card game, I went with my dad and my brother, and I swear to God, I have never in all my years going to Fenway felt energy like that in that park that night. Like it was, no one sat down for 3.5 hours, 4 hours, whatever it was. Every single pitch, like people were like leaning in, and it was I went to one game in the 2013 World Series and one game in the 18 World Series, and it wasn't even like 75% of that. Like it was, and then I went to the game they knocked out the Rays too, and it was the same thing. Like people were leaning in, and it was like dead silent in between the release of the ball and the crack of the bat. Like it was they really, since, I mean, it took like 3 years, but like those 19 and 20 seasons were not great. And I think they really did like bring back a lot of people last year. And it was incredible. Like I will always be grateful for last season.
100%. And when the Red Sox are rolling, when the Red Sox are in the hunt, again, not to sound corny, but no other team in the area can capture the attention of the city like the Red Sox do when they're in the hunt. At the end of the day, no matter how good the Patriots have been, no matter how successful the Bruins or the Celtics are, this is a baseball town. And 2021, I think, was a perfect example of that. Even after a couple crummy seasons, you trade your best homegrown player since literally Ted fucking Williams, literally like the best guy who's come up in your own backyard. You ship him off. And after just completely unlikable teams had come through for especially for 2020. You can have a bad Sox team, but it could still be fun. Like that 2015, like that kind of area, like when Wade Miley was kicking around, when Porcello was there. At least they were horrible, but it was fun.
14 and 15 are they exist
bizarre.
in such a weird space between like,
do.
you know, like I don't even
we're still kind of drunk from 13, right? But they were horrible, but at least they were fun. What made the 2012 team just brutal to watch, it wasn't fun whatsoever. Even with guys like Pedroia or Ortiz or whoever it is, right? It was just completely joyless, completely unenjoyable. 2020 was the exact embodiment of that. I mean, outside forces like the pandemic and what was going on in this country, like in the actual real world outside of the lines of baseball, certainly played a part in that. But even with guys like your Bogarts or your Devers, it was a completely joyless experience.
I'll be the one to say it. I was grateful for the pandemic during that baseball season.
Shea Wallinger, COVID actually good. That's the big takeaway here. One episode in, you get canceled right off the bat.
That's a great spin zone.
I only had to suffer for 60 games of that godforsaken team, and we got Meyer out of it, and then we're good the next year. Like, so it's kind of like,
if you're gonna suck any year, it might as well be in the middle of a pandemic.
Our ace got Tommy John, and he was gone the whole year. Like, it was, I mean,
it couldn't have gone any better for us.
There was not a better year to suck. If
you're going to be horrible, you might as well do it at that point. Yeah. I remember being so excited for that start of that 60-game season too. Like that first game against Baltimore when they won like 15-2 or something like that, something ridiculous. That was a blast. And then that was it. That's all we had.
20 games the rest of the way, 25 maybe.
Yeah, but. An interesting point that you brought up a couple minutes ago, just to go back about the 67 team, Liam. Obviously, it's different circumstances. Like you have on one side, it's a global pandemic. Everything outside of sports and even sports themselves just suck ass. And then with 67, literally the fate of the team being in Boston hanging in the balance. But I think, like you had mentioned, a lot of people our age are going to look back so fondly of that 2021 team, even though it ended up just completely belly up. And that's a good segue into what I wanted to talk about. What needs to be solved from the 2021 team? What went wrong for them in the end? Why did they lose to Houston? And how that can be addressed going into 2022. I think it's three things specifically. I don't know how any of you guys feel. I'm not exactly breaking any news on this, but I wanted to start with you, Liam. It's timely hitting, which, to be fair, for the most of the season, the Red Sox did have that. They just didn't have it at all for games 4, 5, and 6. It was lack of pitching depth, which you always had a feeling if things weren't going to go their way, it was going to be because of that. Even with Robles being added, I don't understand people's
Heart Attack Hanso, baby.
I know he was it's a great nickname, but like he was freaking good. But I agree. But even with that, they needed a little bit more depth out of the pitching staff. And then the thing that I don't think it's talked about enough, and this has been a thing with the Red Sox, even going back to 2018 in those runs in 16 and 17. But you saw it again this year. I don't understand it. And maybe now that I think about it, like the Red Sox have just always been like this. The Red Sox just don't know how to fucking run the bases. They consistently run themselves into outs, and you saw it multiple times.
Verdugo and Vasquez are like the patron saints of it.
Benintendi was the worst base runner I've ever seen, and Verdugo said, "Hold my beer." I've been pleasantly surprised by Verdugo, all things considered, but there were like 2 or 3 like major lapses in judgment on him on the base paths or decisions to send him
thrown out.
Yeah, the strike him out, throw him out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Why?
It was like
why in a run? I was actually looking back at my tweets from that night, and I triggered myself. I thought I went back and I just got so incredibly frustrated thinking about that. Like you have this guy who is addicted to running into outs. You have a good defensive catcher in Maldonado behind the plate, and you got the guy in Shaw that you just added on a win towards the end of the year at the plate. It was Shaw, right?
Yeah, he was at the plate. Mr. Walk-off grand slam.
Yeah, wait, why was he batting? What happened there?
I think he was pinch hitting. I can't remember
But in what scenario was that reasonable?
But I think Danny Santana maybe pinch hit earlier in the game because I remember making a point about this guy couldn't even pinch hit over Santana. And why is he at the plate right now? It was a garbage game. But those I think are the 3 big things, Liam. I don't know if you have anything that you want to add on that or expand upon.
Yeah, no. I mean, for me, I think, especially in the long haul, if we are, fingers crossed, getting 150 games this year or more, is going to be the starting pitching depth. Obviously, like we already said, if the bats don't disappear over the course of the last 25 innings of that series, like we're right there. We're on the cusp of playing the Braves. But I think we're going to miss Ed for better or worse. Sorry, I got clocks. I got clocks in the house. That's what it is.
I was wondering what that was.
I'm sure you can all hear it. So that's great. But I think we're going to miss Ed for sure. I think the fact that I had to go back and remember that we signed Walk.
Huge Erod fans in the background over at Liam's shack.
How many clocks do you have?
There's a lot. They're all over the place.
I might have to end the show with
Mental
Clocks by
note, we
Coldplay,
gotta
man.
start at 01 and finish at
the
59.
outro song is gonna be Time by Pink Floyd.
I'm just gonna start hysterically laughing next clock that goes off. It's gonna randomly happen.
If we're on here for another hour, you'll hear him again.
Gotcha.
Oh, there it is.
But anyway,
what's your rotation right now? What would you say? If you're Alex Cora, what's the 5-man rotation, or 4 or 6? I don't know.
For me, obviously it's Sale and Evaldi, Pavetta, Hauk, and we signed Big Maple too, didn't we?
I don't think he's going to be ready until like the second half.
Dick Mountain.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God, that's right. Oh Jesus. Yeah. So I guess
he's probably your 5 starter right now, isn't he?
Rich Hill.
Yeah.
I mean,
wait? I thought we signed one other guy too.
We should probably know this off the top of our heads.
Yeah, this is
Big
important.
Maple and Rich Hill.
Because you're not.
I think the only position player we've added was Mr. Base Stealer.
Oh.
Tim LaCastro.
Yes.
I was gonna say shout out Foolish Baseball. Because they're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna put Whitlock.
Oh my God,
in the rotation.
Michael Walker.
Oh, Waka! That's right. I knew they had another one.
Yeah.
Oh, yikes.
Okay, so actually, can I step in here because I have thought about this.
Sure.
I think, I think the 2021 Red Sox, they probably don't even sniff beating the Rays without Hauk and Whitlock in the pen. And I think that's what Bloom is intending, at least to start the year, is just let them be in there. Like, I think that seems to be
fine with.
Yeah, because you got Sale Evaldi and then probably Pavetta and then Hill Waka. I don't know what
I'd probably go Hill over Waka. Get another lefty in there. Although maybe that Fenway lefty doesn't play as well. But
innings over the course of a season that those two are going to eat up.
Yeah, at least those guys are going to eat. They're going to give you 5 no matter what. They may not be the best 5, but at least they're going to get you over the hump into the middle or end game portions of it.
I mean, Hauk in what was it, Game 2 in Tampa? Where he
I think he threw 5 innings.
Jesus.
Yeah, out of the pen. But I think as a whole, like a this, I hate using this, but like a market inefficiency, like a Moneyball type thing. I think
being over here.
Yeah, I think bringing like your starting pitching prospects up, and then like kind of telling them like, no, you're not really a starter, but you're also not a reliever, so just stay stretched out. That might be like a new because it's like, why limit yourself?
I mean, nobody's starters go deep anymore anyway. So.
Yeah, like if you can have, and they, a couple other teams do things like this, but the Red Sox last year were like, one of the two of them was going like 3 innings every game. At least in the playoffs, which is also not sustainable, but it works.
Yeah, I was going to say you extrapolate that to 162 games. It's gonna be tough to manage. I do get what you mean, though. I think that's more going to be the case with Whitlock, because I think his end game sort of like the end stages of his development is to be long-term, to be a starter. I think that's what the organization is intending on, right? He
gained a third pitch in the year, didn't he?
You get that with the kind of the sinker and that change-up action if you can even just mix that up, mix it up, and that can definitely be sustainable for 2 innings at a time whenever you decide to deploy him. I think you throw Hauk into the rotation at some point. You've got to put his feet to the fire. I know he's horrible the 3rd time through the order in his smaller sample size, but you want to talk about developing a 3rd pitch. He needs a 3rd pitch to go with the fastball slider action. The 2-pitch mix of a slider and a fastball, while effective, while good, while a lot of people use that in their arsenal nowadays for good reason. If he's going to be a starter who consistently can get into the 3rd time through the order, if he can get into 5 innings, I'd like to see a development of a third pitch, which I think he actually is working on, which is a good
his
sign.
last start of the season in DC, he had like 5 perfect innings.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, he came in clutch there. And
oh my God, I could talk an hour about that DC series.
That September run was incredible.
That was
the banana socks.
Yep.
I forgot about the yellow socks. It was good.
I was on suicide watch like several times in that Washington series. Like that was the most stressful 3 games of my life.
And it was such a beatable team too. The Nationals were ass,
and they made it
in Baltimore.
Yep.
Yeah,
oh
that's how God, I remember. Oh my God, the Orioles became the best team in baseball for like 2 weeks there.
Yeah.
I remember that Friday night. I think it was the Friday night when the first game of the series. I was at the Jonas Brothers concert. At the DC one, I was at the Jonas Brothers concert at Fenway, and we were kind of it was cheap tickets. It was like $20. It was an absolute bargain. So Missy Mopena and I and a couple of our friends from college, we went and we're up by the State Street Pavilion, and like the entire time I'm kind of looking behind, like in between like verses, like in between choruses. Okay, like all right, like we drew a walk there. Like I'm a sucker for you. Like burning up, splaying, and I'm wondering how they're gonna get out of like this second and third jam with 1 out. Just a wild experience there. To be in the moment there, to not totally be caring about the concert in front of you. I'm just worried about this game that you could barely see, like through the window of another window, and it's muted. It was a weird experience. But I do think, the pitching depth is one thing that they definitely need to address. It's probably the number one thing that I think they need to address.
It kind of seems like they did.
This is going to be in the top third.
I still think that there's things to be done, especially in the bullpen. I personally,
absolutely, but I think starting pitching, I think Bloom kind of was like. I mean, they have. If you consider how
a ton of options.
Yeah, if you consider how the starter
great.
right now, you have like 7.5 starters, depending on what Whitlock is. Like that's
kind of deploy them as need be. Yeah.
Like
Paxton won't be ready. Like, and who knows what Paxton is when he's ready? But isn't he not supposed to be ready till like June, July?
Yeah. Like Sale was
type return.
Yeah. So,
but he's good if he's on. I mean, that's like a top 3 guy.
So from there, what else do you think that they should be doing in the off season? But I know
you guys missed a massive thing that they need to address.
What's that?
That would be defense.
Yeah.
Because they were horrible.
Yeah, they definitely had their lapses.
Converting balls into outs last year.
Good point. And even with, Devers improving defensively, still left a lot to be desired. Dahlbeck long-term at first base.
I mean, he kind of knows he's just like a sitting duck right now, right?
Where does he go when Cassis comes up?
The bench? Back. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I've kind of held this opinion that it would be in probably the team's best interest, but definitely his. Like if he just like commits to like learning like how to play a corner outfield spot too, because he can play third, and then you can kind of just have him be like a bench guy, like to swing for the fences
short
sometimes.
A couple times last year.
Like I don't know, like lose 20 pounds and run around a little bit. Like
Bobby Dahlbeck at short.
I was ripping last night on Twitter.
I know, yeah, he did. I'm just, I think I blocked that out of my memory.
my Galaxy Brain take would be if they added Correa, you move Correa to third, Dahlbeck to short. Sanders.
All right, I knew we were gonna get to this because Jake, you're definitely you're a Correa guy, right, Jake? I think I've seen you.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you two, where do you stand on the Correa completely excluded? Like, don't even think about him. Xander Bogaerts as a shortstop. Where are you guys on that as of right now?
I think he's a better defender than people give him credit for. If you actually watch the game, he makes plays to his left, which he's supposed to make, and he makes plays in front of him. He doesn't make every play to his right, which, given what he does at the plate, fine, is what it is. I'll take that.
So he's, what is he, third, 29?
28, 29.
Do you feel comfortable giving him a contract extension, also being a shortstop through the duration of that contract extension?
Well, he may not be a shortstop throughout the duration of the contract extension. If you have Marcelo waiting in the wings, going to be coming up in a couple of years, you could probably shift him over the second. I know he'd be tall for a second baseman, but his batting profile I don't think is going to slow down anytime soon. He's still going to be a very good hitter up until he's like 35 or something like that. He doesn't have a ton of power, granted, but his bat to ball skills are still excellent. He has a great eye. That's not going to go away anytime soon. He has great plate discipline. He can defend the plate. Offensively, I still think he can carry the load while maybe not being, like we mentioned, Carlos Correa, great defender. He's not going to be a Javi Baez, but given what he can do for you at the plate, totally fine with giving him a contract extension. I think they should do that.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
and
22 will be his age 29 season. I got it pulled out.
Oh, so. All right. Well, so we may as well just get into him. The man, Carlos. What I am maybe the biggest Carlos.
He's a rat fucker, but he's a great player.
He is so good. He is so damn good at baseball. So I think personally, you're not really paying like anyone in the coming years. Like there's almost nobody with like real money. I mean, Sale.
And then you're gonna have to extend Devers at some point. That's maybe the one big piece of offensive off-season business that I really want them to address. I do not want them to fuck around with the Devers situation and Bogarts for that matter, but especially Devers, just considering his age and his potential going forward.
So I'm of the opinion that if you're not gonna go big for Correa here, like. Who are you going to go big for? Like it's kind of like falling into your lap a little bit. Like there's not that many teams that he can really fit on at this point. Especially, I mean, before the offseason there was, but like it's come down to like Texas is gone. And then there was a couple others that like, Detroit, people thought he would go to Detroit and that's gone. Like, it's like, you could count on one hand the teams that are like in on him now. And if you sign him, I assume probably like at least 8 years, something like that, 9, 10, whatever. And then you could give Devers a contract, and then those are your blocks. Like that's like two of the best players in the AL for the next like decade.
That is a great left side of the infield. They already do have a great left side of the infield, though.
But
my thought, you take Correa over Bogarts.
Oh my God, I love Xander to death. But if Correa's signing here, I'll drive Xander to the airport. I mean, that's like.
I disagree. I think the offense. Correa also can't stay on the field consistently for 150 plus games. You know what I mean? And he's also been so wishy-washy at the plate. I'll pull it up specifically. And when Correa's on offensively, he's on. He's great. And he's a very good player, despite the fact that he is indeed a rat fucker. But Carlos Correa, I'm stalling here. First thing that comes up into AutoCert, all complete is Carlos Correa Red Sox. So maybe it is trying to tell me something here. Correa, just to run through OPS plus last 4 years, and again he's been hurt at times. His last 4 years, he's played 110, 75, 56. That's a full season, to be fair, because of COVID, and then 148. OPS plus during that time. Spanning down from 2021 down, 131, really good. 93, not good. 137, really good. 99 is a league average. He's very wishy-washy at the plate. When he's on, and when he's off, he's a league average hitter. Which, what's his average annual value going to be? What, like 30 something? At least 30. And he's going to want a decade. You're going to commit $300 million for a guy who, could be an elite caliber type of hitter at times, but he could also be a league average hitter at times while giving you good defense at an important defensive position. Do I want to commit $30 million, $35 million to that every year? I know it's not my money, but Liam, I want to hear your take on this. I'd rather them spend that money elsewhere because I think there are more things to address on the team than just shortstop right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm pulling up another name here that I guess is sort of in line with Correa is Manny Machado. And I'm looking at his numbers and far and away better than Correa's. And he will be entering his age 29 season, just like Bogarts.
Oh my God, Machado! I thought he was so much older than that.
I know, right?
He came in with
he was like 19,
Harper,
right?
He came up at 19 in 2012.
Yeah.
So just looking at look at Machado's numbers, and I know he's had issues injury wise, just like freak injuries, a couple torn ACLs, things like that. He's been on the field way more than Correa has, and he got what, 330? Do we think
a couple years ago, and with other guys have gotten bigger contracts since then. So
that's fair.
Correa's going to set the market for shortstops going forward. He's going to set the money for. Well, I guess not. Seager kind of did. So never mind. I take that back. So
yeah, what did Seager get? Does anyone know the number off the top of their head?
I think he got north of 300, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
I guess the Meyer thing complicates things to the point where I'm not you can't.
It's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem to have. Yeah, but
10 for 325 for Seager, by the way. So AAV of around 32, 33.
What about Trevor Story? What are we thinking on Trevor Story?
That's interesting too, because he's a good defender, but I off the top of my head, I don't think his splits away from cores are that great. I don't think they're that good.
What if you could get him for a bargain?
Perhaps.
MLB. Yeah.
Who I've actually thought about, if you are concerned about the defensive stuff, and maybe for whatever reason, if you wanted to shift Bogarts over to the second now, just to get ahead of that and extend it from there, I don't know if you should do that. Probably.
I mean, they don't really have a starting second baseman either.
Is Paul DeYoung? Is Paul DeYoung a free agent? If you're worried about defense, he's a good defender, right?
I don't think he's a free agent, is he?
I gotta look it up.
Or I thought he was. Again, we should probably have these up.
The Cardinals defense was insane last year, though.
They had 15 Gold Glovers.
Yeah. Oh no, he's under contract.
Okay, I thought I saw he was a free agent.
Through at least 23.
Oh, he's on a contract, a 6-year extension.
Yeah, and it's also
shows what I know. Damn it.
Sure, we can plug and play Kike and Arroyo there, but I don't want to do that again for another whole season.
No.
Kike was far
I want Kike in
better
center field every day.
He's good at center. Yeah.
I was stunned at how good he was out there last year.
I
had no idea.
Gun too.
He did. Every time he was thrown home, he's just.
Yeah, and he put his whole body in the air.
A full gainer going forward, just putting his entire body weight into the throw.
And the ladies love him. The ladies love him.
I love him. It's me. I'm ladies.
I also love him. Yeah.
The memes, baby. He's like he took the flame from Brock Holt, who took the flame from Johnny Gomes, who took the flame from I'm just trying to think of just talking about the Vibe King. He's the king of the vibes on the team.
I thought you were saying the cute one. I was like, I don't know if Johnny Gomes.
It depends on your type, right? Absolutely. If you love yourself some Ironside beards. I'm just trying to think who was the vibe curator of 07. It was probably Coco Crisp.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And then Kevin Millar in 04. So you talk about that. Keeping the clubhouse loose like that, if that's what Kike does, that you can't put a price tag on that. That's my center fielder. But
I'll say we've kind of sort of on the same train of thought here. We addressed the pitching moves. We may as well just quickly talk about the one trade my guy Heim has made, the Renfroe trade. What do we think about that?
All right, JBJ's back.
Yeah,
I love JBJ being back, and he's going to be a good defensive replacement. I cannot imagine that he's a starting outfielder in the year of our Lord 2022.
No, he's a great fourth outfielder, though.
Absolutely, right? And hey, maybe you get lucky in the 2 weeks of the year where he turns into Babe Ruth. Maybe it happens in the playoffs again. I don't know. He cannot be starting.
That's an ALCS MVP right there.
Exactly. Yeah, I will put respect on his name. Love Jackie. I'd rather them go full-time outfielder for the team going forward and then have him be a defensive replacement. There's no chance that Chaim Bloom looks at him and is like he's going to be an everyday starter. I just don't believe that.
I mean, do you think all his chips are in on Suzuki?
I'd rather them put all the chips in Suzuki and then sprinkle in a guy like, dare I say, like a Kenley Jansen. If he's a free agent, maybe sprinkle the extra money that you saved from not signing like a Correa or a Story. I'd rather go after like a Suzuki and a Jansen to kind of get 2 birds, 1 stone with that money,
Suzuki,
as opposed to just
from
Correa.
What I understand, is good defensively as well.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good all-around
That
kind
was
of
the thing
player.
with Renfro. Like his arm kind of like tricked people into thinking he was like really good at patrolling right field, which he wasn't really. He did not have
tricked
great
me.
range.
It's hard
he
to.
wasn't great.
Yeah.
But...
No, I know. It tricked me too. And then I read about it, and like he wasn't getting to any. Like he was. Well, he made a lot of errors too, actually. But
And he purposely
I
kicked the
think
ball into the stands if you ask Tampa fans.
smartest man in baseball.
we're talking about the other day. Like, he
by-
purposely kicked that fucking ball. Like he was Ronaldinho, dude. Like that. No, he didn't.
I think that I like the move purely because I think you're selling high on. I don't think Renfro does that season again ever. Like he was
it's a huge sell
like,
high.
yeah, and oh my god, he was so bad in the playoffs. Like
Disappeared.
mind-numbingly
Forgot he was
bad.
there.
Yeah, he was.
And they just wouldn't take him out of the game. It was like I remember talking about it. I was like, why not at least give Dahlbeck a shot? Like, you know what you're getting with Renfro, and it's going to be a ground out double play. That's what's going to happen. At least maybe
Renfro
you get something
grounded out
different.
short
So
like
many
5
plays.
times in that just in the last 2 games. That it was unbelievable.
Legitimately, I think that game in Houston. I think he had at least 2 double plays.
I thought it was crazy that they didn't take him out for at least the last game, game 6. I was
people were like, well, Dahlbeck wasn't doing that great to end the year. Like, Renfro's not doing great right now.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe
Dahlbeck-
leads into one. I don't know.
Dahlbeck was great in like August and first half of September.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Dahlbeck and Renfro were the two, ironically enough, like the 2 best hitters like in mankind, like at the time. Like they were the peak of baseball performance for about 5 weeks there, towards the tail end of the season. After the, well, actually, kind of during that August slump, they were horrible in August. But yeah, it is cashing in on Renfro, and obviously the big prize there is not JBJ. That's just kind of an added bonus, and it's nice to see Jackie back, but it's the prospects that you get back. Anytime you can kind of replenish that on a sell high. I forget the name of the kid off the top of my head, but one of
them. It is. I'll tell you.
Again, we will have to have all these tabs up going forward.
Oh, it was 2 prospects.
It was 2. One of them was an arm. One's, I think, a third baseman.
It's what that kid. Are we talking about
David Hamilton is the lesser one.
This is really good audio. This is a great audio experience.
Alex Benelis.
That's Benelis. That's
from Notre
kid.
Dame, right? He's got huge power, right?
He does have big power. I didn't know he went to Notre Dame, but he does have big power. Yeah.
How about that? Not as good of a hockey school as UMass Notre Dame, but probably better baseball school.
Prospect.
So I think that's kind of a good summary. Obviously, there's a lot to still be done in terms of free agency, in terms of trades, post lockout. Still a lot to be done, and we'll cover that as it comes in. As it comes in for the Red Sox, for the rest of the league, over the next couple weeks. Hopefully, not the next couple months. Hopefully, we can get a deal reserved soon. Which again, another great segue. I'm 2 for 2 in my segue today, boys. Just kind of quickly wanted to talk about, or maybe not so quickly, the current state of Major League Baseball negotiations. It's like pulling teeth out talking about these things, but we have to. As we record this on Tuesday night, just before 7:30, Ken Rosenthal, so take it with, however you feel about Ken Rosenthal, this is what he reported. MLB expected to make written proposal shortly based on earlier conversations with the union, sources tell The Athletic. Evan Drellich or Drellich? We were talking about this. It's Drellich, right?
I have no idea.
Oh, so I was Drellich. I'm going to stick with Drellich.
I think it's
Why not?
That's
I don't know. Who cares?
Evan, if you're listening to this and it's Drellich, my apologies. But you, my friend, said that it's a wait-and-see mode. Basically, it could be a long night, similar to what it was last week. Maybe we get a Boob Nightingale Redemption Tour, Part 2, the Squeakquel tonight. We'll see what happens. That was amazing. Just Bob Nightingale just completely pulling the wool over our eyes and just
I really
being
believed in him.
Being a complete puppet.
I was all in.
But shame on us, right? We knew they are who we thought they were.
You fooled me 75 times, Bob.
We don't have to go too in depth about our sentiments about the owners. We are firmly with the union here on this. I don't think I'm stepping
We're
on
a
any toes.
Union podcast.
Liam's actually big bootstraps. He's like, oh, you know,
Whoa.
millions of billionaires and they're playing a children's sport. They should just be lucky to be being paid in the first place.
I mean, poor Ricketts is trying to buy Chelsea now, so it's like
Oh, he is?
after selling off
Yeah, I saw
Rizzo.
Oh,
and
man,
Taylor
if
and
there's
Myers.
any other bigger reason to hate Chelsea.
The
Jake, are
Fenway
you-
Sports Group wants to buy wants to get in on one of the expansion NBA teams if they do that. I was
I
like
did
Vegas.
see that. Are we a
Oh,
pro
God.
Pittsburgh Penguins podcast here now?
No, we're not.
Fuck that purchase.
I-
It's just John
I
Henry
will
doesn't
say-
care.
I will say
We're company
it's,
men.
It's exciting just because I'm excited to go to the Winter Classic next year.
Huge.
And that Henry got that like double dipping. He's got the Penguins playing in it, and then it's at Fenway.
I didn't even think of that. That's smart.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Still an
for that
asshole,
reason- for that reason, I'm pro Penguins purchase. They tried to buy the Bruins, but Jacobs wasn't interested in.
Jacobs will never sell that team. You can give him all
I-
of King Midas' silver.
Pry it from
That
his
man.
cold dead hands.
Yeah.
As much as my sentiments towards John Henry right now are not great, and I'm a way bigger Red Sox fan than I am a Bruins fan. I'm just kind of a Bruins casual. Cannot stand that Jacobs guy.
No, he sucks.
he absolutely stinks. He abhorrent. So that's just I don't think we're in disagreement there. That's just kind of our general sentiments as to it right now. And if you're siding with the league on this, you can kick rocks and stop listening to this podcast.
Please unlike and unsubscribe.
I no matter how they end up being in terms of the negotiations, and I'm wondering how you guys think of how the negotiations will ultimately generally turn out. We don't have to go into the nitty gritty of the numbers of the competitive balance tax. You know, we could talk until you fall asleep on that. But no matter how they end up being, I'm kind of worried that the owners will just find new ways to exploit this new system, whatever it is. I'm not totally convinced that we're going to see systematic change. Hopefully I'm wrong. I'd love for that to happen. But whatever system does get implemented, I'm concerned that it's just going to lead to more exploitation of the system going forward. I don't know how you feel about that, Liam.
No, I mean I'm in agreement. I don't think what they ultimately settle on is gonna, blow the players away and put them in the position they want to be in. As far as like opening day goes, I don't see it happening before May 1st, unfortunately, just because I think they're going to use the rest of this month to try to come to a deal. The owners don't care about missing April baseball. Like, that's not an issue. They want the 14-game playoffs, so that's where
The
they're
one,
making money up.
and I do have a point on the 14-team playoffs, but the one thing I will say, and maybe this is just me being naive, me being optimistically thinking, I have kind of seen whispers, and I don't have the specific buy rules for every single team in front of me with their TV deals with, their regional broadcasters or the league's deal with national, Sunday night baseball, Saturday night, baseball
Friday
on
night
Fox,
baseball.
all their playoff stuff. I don't have that in front of me, but basically at like the 140 game mark, they have to play at least
I
135,
saw that.
140 games. After it gets to a certain point, basically, where those broadcast partners, regional or national, can start asking for their money back. They can start asking for rebates. They don't pay out, in full what they agreed to. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's more movement as we get closer to that deadline. And that actually is another good segue into your Apple point today, because Apple and Major League Baseball announced that they're going to be doing Friday Night Baseball now, exclusively on Apple TV Plus or whatever. Fuck that.
It sucks. It's 2 games every Friday, I believe.
Yeah, it's a double header. I hate it.
It does. I don't know.
It's a double head. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the 3 people
just-
listening to this that have,
Do you guys have Apple
like,
TV?
enjoy.
no, I don't.
it's not.
I want to watch it, Ted Lasso, at some point, but
I have
also
Apple
want to watch.
Music. I've had Apple Music, so I just got it for. I guess it's not free, but it was just like folded
Included in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have it. So selfishly, I don't. This makes no difference
Yeah,
for
you
me,
don't
but it
care.
does on a broad scale. It's stupid. Like I don't know.
Let's make the game harder to watch.
Have fun not getting your Spotify Wrapped in December, dude.
Yeah.
I get my Apple. It's called something else, and it's not.
Yeah, I know what it's called.
Yeah, they said something.
Spotify gang wins again. They're not making these BS deals with Major League Baseball. No, those are just going to be EI games, I guess. I'll just I'll sit out on my deck. I'll crack up a couple suds, and I'll listen to Joe Castiglione and the Shaws and Star Market Red Sox Radio Network during those nights. More interesting stuff, though, with the CBT stuff, and this is kind of the last baseball thing I wanted to bring up tonight. In each of your opinions, and we'll start with Jake, out of things in between the lines that have been proposed, whether it's advertisements on jerseys, expanded playoffs, pitch clocks, bigger bases being thrown around, the banning of the shift, that's a big one that's been spoken about the last couple of days. Which one of those, one of them or two of them, however many really, pique your interest one way or the other? Which one of those would you want to dive deep in on?
So I'll kind of quickly address one, and then I'll get to the other. The ads on jerseys. I hate it, but I also the other leagues are doing. The NBA has it, as we know, and the NHL is starting it next year, I believe.
They already have it on the helmets.
Yeah, they have it on their helmets.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's coming. And it's not. It's just a cosmetic thing. So I guess it sucks, and I hate it. But at the end of the day, it's I can get over that. It's not gonna derail the sport or anything. It's an inevitability. Yeah.
It does bite, but
So the shift, I personally, for a long time, I was very learned how to hit the other way, and I still am. Because it's fun to make fun of professional athletes that can't do that. Like Joey Gallo, it's funny that he can't hit the other way. But I do think if you're trying to reinvigorate some entertainment value, it makes sense. More batted balls in play that a 100 miles per hour up the middle. There's not just some guy stationed there, I think stuff like that, or a shallow right liner that is hit right to Christian Arroyo. That's stuff like that. I think that it actually is a positive. And there, I think it should probably decrease the 3 true outcomes stuff, just because if you have more field to hit, you'll be less incentivized to just go for a home run every time. It makes sense to me. And I know there's people on, it's a touchy issue because it's these professional athletes and just learn how to play within the rules and stuff. But the NFL has illegal formations. I mean, it's not this sort of thing it happens. You find an exploit, it works for a little while, and then the league is that's not fun to watch. So I think I'm all right with it, honestly.
I go back and forth. I definitely get that point. But at the same time, if you are Joey Gallo, if you are another kind of 3 true outcomes sort of hitter, and you model your entire game based on that, and it's not working because you keep hitting into the shift because you modeled your entire offensive profile on being a 3 true outcomes hitter, it's kind of you made your bed, now you gotta have to sit in it. I understand it's probably a little bit more complicated than that, but it's part of the game. The team on the other side is trying to win. It's totally within the rules as it stands right now. Nothing at all dirty, illegal about it. Whatever it is, if that's the exploit that they found to help them win, I don't see a problem with it. Although I do understand, if you do ban the shift, obviously, more balls in play, more people are going to be attracted to that. I'm going to watch it no matter what. I'm going to enjoy the game no matter what. But B, maybe for the betterment of the game, maybe that does lead to the development of more well-rounded players. Maybe it swings the other way. The last however many years of the 3 true outcomes revolution, so many players have come through systems across the league and have been developed into that sort of profile. Maybe it swings the other way. Maybe the pendulum goes the other way, and you go back to more well-rounded sort of hitters. Although I think the efficiency of hitting home runs has been well documented. If you take one look at any analytic system, period, for lack of a better term, analytic system. Yeah. Liam, what's your take on the shift?
My take on the shift, Jake brought up an interesting point about illegal formations in football and whatnot. Yeah. I hadn't thought of it like that. But when he puts it like that, to me, it really comes down to what does it look like? Is it the middle infielders are restricted to the cut of the grass, they can't go into the outfield?
Two on each side of second base, which
exactly.
is
yeah. I think it comes down to what does it end up looking like? If there's still some leeway in terms of quote unquote shifting, then I think it's fine. I have no issues with it. But like Jake said, Manny Machado playing right field, on the shift out in San Diego last year. Like that's
Hell of a catch you made, though.
It's a little ridiculous, but no, it was a great play. The other interesting, I guess, idea they had thrown out there with the larger bases, I think a lot of it they said had to do with like player safety.
Yeah, like Muncie got hurt with the elbow thing.
Yeah, that's
and I was
fine.
able to get him at a discount in my Dynasty Fantasy League because of that injury. The guy was nervous about it, so I was able to get him to play first for me. But no, yeah, I get it. I think it makes sense.
I'm all for the larger bases, and not only because like player safety, things like that.
Or just like the one base next to first that you can kind of run through.
That I don't hate either. But I'm thinking like if they do expand like the actual size of each base, does that incentivize players to steal more bases? Because that's something I want to come back. Like that's something I miss. And I think adds a lot more action to the game than, just getting rid of the shift,
Yeah, I understand you don't want to run into outs, but steals are fun. It's a free, to quote True Withers, it's a free base. It's a free base. So the one thing I wanted to bring up about all these things that in terms of in between the lines, in between the actual game itself, expanded playoffs. There's a lot of talk of it the other day when the idea of the players coughing up the 14-team playoff in favor of some other things. I'd rather a 12-team playoff. I think we're all in agreement here that the playoffs will be expanded one way or the other, whether or not the league expands to 32 teams, whether it stays at 30. They're going to get to 12 at least at some point, and it looks like they're going to jump right up to 14. I'd rather 12, but if 14 leads to a better deal for the union, that's fine. That's fine. And the one argument I've seen against a 12-team playoff is that it really sullies the competition pool that make the playoffs. And I understand that. You see, like in the NHL teams who are like 500 or the NBA below 500, they get a shot at making the dance. And every once in a while, you might see that in a 14-team playoff with baseball. But for the most part, I don't think it totally ruins the competition in the postseason. And I did pull up some recent numbers on this. I do have the stats in front of me here. Sound like Alex Jones. I got the numbers right here in front of me. You even look at last year alone, 5 teams making the playoffs in the American League.
Toronto, the Jays. I was just going to say.
Toronto and Seattle, they both had 90-plus wins, and they both missed. I understand, at some point you have to be good enough to make the cut. There has to be a cut somewhere.
Win more games.
Exactly, right? Yeah, exactly, right. To me, I would win 92, but I guess I'm built different. But you see division winners with under 90 wins all the time, including the world champions. The Braves had 88 wins this past year.
The Cardinals in 06 had...
Yeah, they were like 84 wins, something like that. You see division winners with under 90 all the time. Cleveland missed in 2019 with 93 wins. The Rays and Mariners in 2018, they had 90 and 89 respectively. Some mediocre teams are going to get in every once in a blue moon. That's fine. But then I would argue just equally as often, maybe even more, you're going to get a team that if they were located 500 miles the other way, east or west, they would have, moonwalk to their own division. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't think it totally ruins the competitive balance of the playoffs, similarly to how it would do that for hockey or basketball, if that makes sense.
I have kind of a complicated view on it. So I honestly think what the 10 right now is really nice. I love the wild card game, and it I just think it works. 12 is fine too, because I think from what I understand, the best team in each league would get a bye, and then there'd be a wild card game, and then it'd be a series.
Or the old NFL, top 2 get buys, 4 plays 6, or 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5.
14 is just it's a lot easier to swallow if they do go to 32. But I just think it's a lot, and it's also the ghost win and the you pick who you play. I haven't kept up.
That's it's so much more complicated at that
making
point.
It in or not. I don't know where they stand.
The pick who you play thing would make great reality. Yeah, exactly. The pick who you play thing would be great reality TV, but in practice, after the 30-minute special on ESPN ends, it's stupid. It's so stupid.
Dumb. I don't It's just a lot. Imagine explaining to some 88-year-old baseball fan, Yeah, no, Gramp. So there's like
The-
a
the
ghost.
win doesn't- it's
They
not
already have a
real.
win. There's already a win, and like
They didn't play it, but they do have a win.
Yeah, it's just
They're
like
1-0.
relax, guys, and we don't, it's too much. But on the other hand, as a fan of the Boston Red Sox, who do reside in the AL East, I don't. It's like, yeah, that could help. Like the AL East is gross. Like
Don't give us another shot now. Yeah, there's 4 teams that literally last year won 90+ games.
So on that hand, like I guess it would be helpful to the Red Sox in that regard. But I do like, again, like you said, like if it gets the Union a better deal and they get some leeway on stuff, then sure. Selfishly, I think 12 is probably my ideal. But I don't know. Liam, what do you think?
No, I think 12 is where I'm at. I'm happy. I'd be happy with 12. 14, I agree. I think the only way it happens is if they do expand to like Nashville or Portland or where else they've talked about, like Vancouver.
Get me a team in Nashville. That'd be so cool.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think that's the only way the players allow the 14-game playoff to happen. I mean, if you go to 12 and then you have those, I mean, do we lose the wild card game if we go to 12? Does it become a 3-game series?
The wild card round.
Yeah. Like that.
No, if you go to 12, I think it's the second and the third team play a game, and then the one plays the winner of that in the wild card. I don't know.
If it's
Who
6
cares?
God.
Who cares?
but no, for me, it's like you're going to gain something, but you're also going to lose things. Like, look at it. If there had been expanded playoffs in 2010 and 2011, like the Red Sox, there's way less drama. The course of the Red Sox over the last
good. I'd be able to live like 5 more years. Like took 5 years off my lifetime.
Playoffs. Yeah. But it's like,
true.
Okay, they went to the wild card game the next year in 2012. Like, yeah, there's maybe some drama still for 162. I mean, we saw it this past year. But there's just those little things where it's like, yes, it looks great in hindsight, but does it actually play out that way? Who really knows?
Yeah. So it's a lot of it is just kind of, conjecture right now. It's all dependent on what the actual deal is, although I do think it's leaning towards 14. Again, I'd probably rather 12, but I don't think it's the end of the world. Yeah, you probably miss those moments like the Braves or the Red Sox collapsing, which as a baseball fan, obviously it sucks as a Red Sox fan, but just in hindsight, like that was a wicked cool night, that last night of baseball. If you enjoy the game, like it's, objectively, and if you were a neutral fan, you were probably having a great time, or you were dry heaving like me. But then on the flip side, if it's expanded, like, not to sound like a softie, but it would have been so cool last year to see Seattle after since 01 making the playoffs. Seeing my sweet baby boy Jared Kelenic out there. Are you kidding me? That would have been awesome.
That's kind of like, but then, not that this really matters, but you would totally, the other 29 fan bases would be like, oh, it took expanded playoffs.
Yeah.
But
the trolls are always going to find their way.
Hard.
Yeah.
The trolls are always going to come out on top one way or the other. You cannot stop the 15-year-olds with hoodie Glaber season as their handles. They're just not going to be stopped. All right, so an hour of baseball talk in the books. I will say this, if you have not seen The Batman yet, this is how we're going to end the show today. If you have not seen The Batman yet, stop it here. I think we should just do a spoiler review of it. It's been long enough. If you made it this point.
There's not that many spoilers, too. I mean, really. It's
pretty...
who's
going to be in it and all that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you don't want any deep dive talk into The Batman, I'm Fitz. That's Liam. That's Jake. They've now joined the podcast. They're here to stay, folks, and we will be previewing other baseball-related things. We might have some special guests to talk about the divisional opponents in the AL East going forward. I don't want to make any promises, but who's to say? We'll dive deep into transactions and all that shit as we get ready for opening day in 2027. Batman, beat it, Toots.
2027?
Yeah, that was a joke.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah,
I was sorry.
That was Liam's weird look. I thought it was a joke. Yeah, 2027 because baseball's going to be DED. So
for sure.
Batman, beat it, Toots. I thought it was very good. I definitely enjoyed myself. I'm more of a softy Marvel, like lighthearted kind of superhero guy, as opposed to the everything sucks and I'm dying DC darkness tone. But I thought it was a very well done movie. Battinson, Battinson was
Love him.
fantastic. It was
So
fantastic. Good. So handsome in that too.
I had the highest hopes for it, and I don't think it got there personally, but I liked it a lot. It's not. I cannot say it's better than The Dark Knight for me.
People say, "Oh, it's the best." No, it's not better than Dark Knight. It's better than...
I rewatched The Dark Knight on Saturday because I was a little fun fact about me. I was in Chicago over the weekend, and I walked by.
I saw you literally flick the bean.
I did. I walked by several locations where they shot The Dark Knight, so I was like, "Let's throw it on Saturday nights." We watched it, and God, that movie rips. I mean, it is just like it just goes balls to the walls for 2 hours. It's unbelievable. And the Batman was very good, but I think it lost me a little bit at the third act.
I think they keep repeating like bring him into the light. Like, we get it. You said it like 5 times. Like, we understand it. You don't have to explain this to me again. I know it's a long movie.
And it could have been like 20 minutes shorter. Like, there was some bloat there.
I thought it was going to end like 7 different times.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I had known how long it was, like typically I'm someone who looks up the runtime of a movie before they go. I didn't do it this past Thursday, and my bladder felt every 2 hours and 56 minutes of that movie.
I dehydrated myself going in.
The third act was it didn't need to be that long. Like,
no.
I was like, when is this ending? Like, one, I need to go to the bathroom, and 2, just they could have ended it after they caught the Riddler.
I think for the most
all the trucks and whatnot. Like,
that was a little too much at the end. I think that's
what lost me. The
I was
flooding,
like, we're still going.
Post flood lost me a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, like I think for the most part the runtime warranted itself. I like kind of diving into like the the trauma of Bruce Wayne, like dealing with his family legacy, shit like that. You know what I mean? I think the runtime did lend itself to that, and I don't think it really wasted that. But there probably was some fat towards the end of the movie. I didn't need that fucking Joker cameo.
So unnecessary. Did
so
you guys
dumb.
see the?
I'm not going to be able to take him seriously if like that. Actor.
It's what's his name from
Eternals, right?
Or
whatever.
He's good. Barry Keoghan.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I just that's what I know him from.
Oh no! Well,
it took me completely out of it.
I didn't like that scene.
Yeah, the cameo itself, like, I'll hit my mic. It took me out of it. Like, I didn't like the fact that it was there, but the actor itself, he's good.
Yeah, that's just fine.
There was a alternate or whatever. I don't know. Maybe there was going to be both scenes, but they filmed the scene where it's like in the middle of the movie. Batman would go to Arkham and be like, let me see him.
So
and they would
good.
They would bring Joker out,
good.
and they would have like a talk like Mindhunter or something, which would have been so much better.
Which would have been amazing.
That's so much better.
Cool.
Because it would like cue you in like, oh, these two have history already in this universe, and it's like, excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't really know why they went with. I don't really know why they thought this one was better.
Like, hey man, want to be pal? Like that was dumb.
It was funny. I saw that clip of the two guys
the
just
only
like sitting in a
though,
kitchen. They're like laughing and they keep like dapping each other up. They're like, they keep dapping each other up. Somebody tweeted like this was Joker and Riddler in that scene, and it was just them like, but yeah, it was very good, not great. That's where I land on it.
Okay.
I thought it was better than Dark Knight Rises. I'll say if we're going to talk about the Nolan trilogy, I thought it was better than Dark Knight Rises. What I was going to say, Riddler would have been a fantastic tweeter. He would have been a great shit poster.
Thanks for the support, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the dono. Poggers in the chat.
This community has meant so much.
Paul Dano, he was very good. He wasn't beaten to death. He wasn't beaten to death with a bowling pin in this movie, though, so I can't give it a 10 out of 10. Like another movie where he was beaten to death with a bowling pin. There were no milkshakes being drinking. There will be blood reference for those who do not know by that. And sorry, and if you haven't seen that movie by now, I don't care if I spoiled it for you. I don't care.
I was thinking like Prisoners. I was like, does that happen to him in Prisoners?
No. He meets an untimely demise towards the end of There Will Be Blood.
He just
Daniel
gets
Day-Lewis
by Hugh Jackman in Prisoners.
That's right. Yeah.
He meets the business end of a bowling pin from Daniel Day-Lewis at the end of that movie. So
I love Paul Dano. He's great.
He's a very good actor.
He's just like a guy. Like I don't, like he could walk down the street and I wouldn't think,
He's
I don't
so-
know.
he's like-
I'd have a beer with him. It's like he's running for office. I'd love to have a beer with him.
yeah, he's like he's just got a silly little haircut. I just love him.
Just kind of his face is just like happy to be there.
Yeah. He's
Zoe
in The
Kravitz was very good as well.
Colin Farrell, man. I'm still not sure if that was him or not.
I
had to look that up that it was Colin Farrell. I didn't know it going in.
When they
couldn't
announced
tell.
that he was getting an HBO like spin-off whatever miniseries, I was like, do we need that really? And then I saw the movie and I was like, give me more.
He
Like
was great. He was so
he's
good.
having a ball on that screen. Like he's sweet, take it easy, sweetheart. Like he's it's so good.
It's all about the Mets.
Yeah, and Turturro, all the Italians in it were great. Like
The mob stuff was awesome.
Yeah,
I thought that was so cool. I thought like the Gotham City that they were able to create.
I really liked.
Was way better than just like
Chicago.
Oh, it's Chicago.
felt like a very believable sort of city as far as it could be.
We're in Pittsburgh
exactly.
now.
Exactly.
We're blowing up Heinz Field.
I know. I needed my Heinz Ward cameo.
Speaking of that, I'll send it into the group chat. Have you seen the video? Someone took the scene when Bane enters the stadium and he goes on the megaphone. I'm laughing thinking about it. Instead of the speech he gives after blowing up the field, it's the Silver Surfer intermission from The Life of Pablo.
Oh yeah.
Yeezy, what's good? It's your boy Max B. The wave is here. You a wavy dude.
When I was listening to that album for the first time at like 3 a.m., whenever February
when it leaked, because
Yeah,
it wasn't a product, it had to leak.
I like checked my phone several times during that song. I was like, what's going on? Is this?
Well, the one that got me is 30 hours when the ringtone goes off. I check my phone.
Yeah,
that's Dave calling. Oh man, so listen to The Life of Pablo. Give Kanye West more money. That's what he needs right now. It's
right.
That's the one thing he definitely needs right now.
Liam,
are you a Kanye guy?
A little bit here and there. I'm
not a Kanye
like,
2022 guy, but I'm a Kanye music guy, and I know Jake appreciates his Kanye. There'll be more Kanye talks on the podcast, I'm sure.
He's entertaining.
Yeah, he needs help. He's needed help. Anyways,
it's all a cry for help.
So,
all right.
in any event, gonna wrap it up here because if we're gonna keep going about Kanye, then that'll be another hour on the podcast. So again,
keep going.
Yeah, right, exactly. Just a marathon episode. After I said it was going to be like a 30, 45-minute episode, it's approaching on an hour 15. So
we're just riffing.
For Jake, for Liam, I'm Fitz. Thank you for rejoining us on Pod on Lansdowne, and we will talk to you next week. Go Sox, kid.
Sox and 5.